Good evening. Welcome to Justice for All. And hey, we got Rendy live this week. She was able to make it in. So I had to go through and fix it all. And now she's in. And we got a great show for you tonight. And Rendy, you ready to go on this?
We're ready. We're
Yeah.
ready to spill some
She's got a
truth.
few. I got a few. Justice for all, where we make sure that some of these people that are done wrong and victims, get justice. And you seen that this is about bad judges. Boy, you ought to hear about some of these judges. Randy, it's uh, some of them just are above the law because they get in, and when they're voted in, it's life term until they
Wow.
just get out. Yeah. And they could do whatever they want.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that because they come up so much on our ballots here every few years.
And we
So
got a live Randy. I don't know if you could,
hi
can you see me?
Karen.
And then we got Mary in. Mary,
Hi
I
Mary.
don't, I'm still trying to work out the wrench for Miss Mary. So I want to get off to this dog. Um, let's see. Oh, there we go. It worked out
Aw.
perfect. Now I did this story on the Weather and Lifestyle News, and it was very heartbreaking because um, it's an English Mastiff, and this is an Indiana woman, and she found her puppy with holes, and she thought maybe bug bites, and it was her yard's fenced in, so she knows that the dog didn't get out. But then she said he had some marks and they thought bug bites and stuff. Well, they started noticing there was holes in him, and they were just kind of looking at it and the holes, and then they decided they were going to shave around these holes. They didn't want him to get infected, and that's kind of why you see the squares, or they were round, is what she said. And there was even one under his eyelid. There was one in his ear, one in his knee. They were all over. So she took him in and found out these were BBs. He had been shot 27 times with BB pellets, and it wasn't enough that that happened, but 20 some pulled out of him, and probably they say close to 20 that were still in him, Randy. So there was over 40. So they looked into it and they found this neighbor. And let's see. I mean, this guy don't even look right. I mean, look at him. This is the guy they arrested, and he basically admitted. He said the dog was barking. It drove him nuts, and he just decided to shoot it one day. Well, they ended up. I want to say, gladly enough, justice for all and justice for this puppy named Jackson, that they went ahead and arrested him. And but get this, they didn't arrest him for the dog. They arrested him. Um, let's see, marijuana, methamphetamines, and possession of paraphernalia to get him in. And then it took um, many years later that they actually just got him for um, really. It wasn't really for the dog. It was just having the um, shooting in a residential area. So he
Wow.
didn't really get in trouble for the dog. And they said she's going to have to take him to civil suit, but she's finding it hard to find a lawyer because um, it's for the dog, and you're talking pain and suffering for the dog. The dog isn't dead. So um, now it did go to court, come to find out, and she did win a civil suit of to cover all the vet bills plus 10 grand. And she's
Yay.
happy about it. So, that's pretty much, the story of the dog. And the reason I didn't get Rendy, I didn't give them who this guy was or how he got arrested or anything when I did the show because I wanted to save it for today because I
Yeah.
really want to tell the whole story. Now, get this: just since January, 464 animals have been shot with BB guns, in the United States. And why is it? Cats that are in people's yards and messing with their bird feeders, dogs that are barking, dogs that get out, dogs chasing their cats or their other animals. So these people are, it's now become, they say, really bad crime across the country. And it has risen, they said, almost 500%. Um, um, now there is a law that's out that people aren't allowed to shoot domestic animals. If as long as they belong to someone, they're going to go to jail. So this is something the GOP passed. So, all
Thank
right.
goodness they did.
Karen says it angers me that pets are considered property, not family members. Well, that's being changed with this law. And so this is a good thing because, now we're seeing that if you hurt a domestic animal, no matter if it's a cat that wanders. Now, they're said you can't keep a cat in. Now, Randy, you know that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't keep a cat in the house. On some of them, if they've been outside, they want back out. And they're saying even if it's a cat that wanders, that it doesn't give a person the right to get a gun and shoot it in their neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
um,
When I was involved in cat rescue down in South Florida, we were shocked because we would get so many cats that had been shot or beaten. And anyway, just terrible abuse that I have seen. Collier County, Florida made it legal that if any sort of animal walked into your yard and you didn't like it, you had the right to shoot it.
mm,
Unbelievable. So this is a victory. This story that you just told us is just such a victory, and I just hope that so many more follow suit. Yeah.
see, I tried to make
Sorry,
mine.
I start crying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you've got cats,
Yeah.
and your cats, I mean, are not only fighting um, wild animals, but they could be going through the same issue. So
Yeah.
mine were always inside cats, but they got out. In fact, I lost one. The other one I just couldn't keep in, and he ended up being hit by a car. And then when I got two more, they even ended up sneaking out. I mean, they just want out.
Yeah.
That's now I got dogs. I do dogs. Dogs
Yeah.
mine. Dogs mine.
Yeah.
To a point until they jump over the fence and they take off. Like my neighbors did today. They can't keep their dogs in. They jump the fence and they're out. So yeah, get drinks because you're next. So
That's a
let us
soft
know.
drink, guys. I'm not drinking any alcohol.
I like Ellie.
Everybody
Ellie
thinks
likes her coffee sometimes. So saying, well, my coffee's like pure black. If I put anything in it, like even Coke, like what you're drinking, if I put anything alcoholic in it, I can't drink that soft drink ever again because it tastes like it.
oh, it gets in your
So
brain that's what it
I
that's
don't
what
know.
it tastes like.
So all right, the liquor. Yeah, this is justice for all. I'm not drinking and driving today.
I'm here on the farm. I'm on the homestead, and it is so windy here. Linda, is she in the chat? I can't see the chat, guys. I'm sorry. So you'll have to maybe somebody, Karen or somebody can put
We got
Williams in our chat. Hey, William.
William said, "Good to see you, Randy."
Thank you, William. It's good to hear from you. And where I'm at, it is so windy here today. If you hear anything, any kind of strange noises in my background, I had my chair fly off of my front porch a while ago, and it looks like a table is going to go next.
Did you hear about Virginia Beach?
No, what happened?
The F1, and it even pulled up cars and threw cars. It was like a tornado that hit Virginia Beach. today.
When was that? Oh, that was today?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know me, I'm watching. I'm watching.
You've got it covered. You're on
Yeah,
it.
I watch the weather, then I watch the earthquakes, and I watch the volcanoes, and then I watch the news. And boy, I tell you, it's hours worth. All right, so get into what is it?
Okay.
The registration.
I tell you, I just can't believe the state of Massachusetts has a law that, okay, this is the story. This gentleman went to go visit some friends in Massachusetts. He lives in Virginia. And he was there approximately a month. And while he was there, now he did get a parking ticket, but when the court processed this ticket, they saw that he had a Virginia registered car, and they told him that he had to register his car in Massachusetts, even though he didn't live there, even though he was just visiting people for a month. And this was a big stink. I mean, it went to court, and finally they dropped it. Finally, but why does it take that much grief and going through court to say, I don't live here? I'm just visiting friends. This happened to me last year when I went to go visit a friend of mine on the East Coast. And the state of Illinois absolutely just lost it. They thought that I had moved and that I hadn't given any notice or something to that effect. I was going to lose my Illinois benefits just for being gone longer than 1 month. It's like if you're not here for 30 days straight, they think that you've moved. So in the end, the Secretary of State in Massachusetts has said, forget it. If somebody's just visiting, then they do not have to register their car. But their claim was originally, if you are in another state for 30 days, you have to register your vehicle there. And I don't think that's correct. But
Yeah, no.
the guy won. He didn't have to register his car, so there's a victory.
Most states, like here, you got to basically be have a job, and you got to be here for, I believe, 2 years. Sometimes it's a year or 2 years, but it's when you basically have moved here and have a residence. So I didn't look into other states, but Arkansas is pretty. I mean, they're usually last on the list, so it wasn't right what they did to this. Was it a guy?
It was, yeah, just a single guy. And he went to go help some friends just across the state line. This is what's so crazy. It's not like he was coming from California all the way across the nation. He just crossed state lines from Virginia over into Massachusetts. And it just sent just threw a monkey wrench into everything.
Yeah, they're
Crazy.
probably trying to make money for the city and the state. That's what a
Yeah.
lot of the time it does. So, did you have another one?
You know what? You touched on this with me the other day, and I do need to talk about this with people who maybe are not mechanically inclined, or your shade tree mechanics, do-it-yourselfers out there. Cars, this kind of started in the 80s. Like I had a mid-80s Camaro that had a chip in it. That was the prong, had prongs in it. It's about this long. And you took a cover off from underneath the dash. If something went wrong with your car, you could buy a handheld tool, plug it into the car, And then it would give you your diagnosis. And it was always the O2 sensors. Those are a pain to change too. So it's been probably about a week ago now. The law has been changed in our favor to where you don't have to be a car dealer to change computer parts in a car. It's now legal for us to do it ourselves. This is going to be a game changer. Dealerships are so expensive. And with the computer chip shortage, I was thinking about this. There are other ways, not just overseas, to fix that car and to get the correct chip in it, you might say. So I thought that was great. That I guess it's a federal law.
Yeah,
it's called
the other thing, Mary. I'm gonna call you Mary, Randy.
Okay,
Mary on the brain today. So the other thing is, those little dash lights that come on, and they say you got to take it to the dealership, and they charge you $60 to $200 to turn that little light off, and it's like a check engine light. And now, like you said, there are people you could take your cars to that'll do it for half the cost, and they've got the equipment to do it. And now the other thing was the story I told you about was Colorado and these farming tractors.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the tractors. Yes.
And what this was out of Colorado. I meant to tell you that. So it was only Colorado that was doing this, where the tractors were not allowed to have anything done on these brand new tractors unless it was the dealers. And but like you said, your brother fixes stuff like this. And other states were doing it except for Colorado. So finally, they did change the law because one gentleman, he basically almost lost his farm because he couldn't afford to fix his tractor because he had to go to the dealer, and the dealer wanted thousands of dollars for this. So, I mean, like your brother, like you were saying with your car, it's the same thing with the car. They made it so you have to take it back to the dealer. And I mean, if you're going to John Deere, really? I mean, a John Deere tractor is expensive. And can you imagine if you don't even have one in the state, how do you get it there?
Exactly. I mean, this is why, for anybody that doesn't know, we have a speed shop here in town. It's my family's speed shop. So we have machining tools. And during farm season, a lot of stuff breaks on these big tractors. We can go in and machine parts for them and fix them. But, it's called the Right to Repair Act. I remembered it.
Yep.
You have the right to repair your own stuff now instead of just taking it to a dealer. And this is going to be big with the manufacturers are going to have to change something, or they're been made aware of it now. People have a right to repair their own stuff. So don't punish us when we take it to, Harrison Engines and Machine to get it done instead of taking it to Case or John Deere and spending $5,000.
Well, it's way more than that. And now that they're electric, get this, just to get a new battery for those tractors is close to $100,000.
I wouldn't.
It's 30 for a car. It's 30 for a car, and even simple lawnmowers, they're talking it could be $5 to $10,000 for you to get a replacement battery for your lawnmower. It's nuts. It's nuts.
It's out of control.
So, did you want to add anything else before I get on to bad judges?
Let's go for the bad judges.
Okay, so
I'm ready.
This comes out of Reuters. Now, I've heard about it, and I found it with Steve Leto, and And then I said, you know what? I got to go check this out. And I went to Reuters uh, uh, um, and said, let me take a look here. And then it gave me other ones to even NBC, ABC, and CBS have all talked about this. And the judges in America and how many of them are bad. How could they eat? So they looked into it. And the study of disciplinary proceedings against judges, well, they've got organizations and lawyers. They've got people who oversee these judges. And like I mentioned before, there is even, and I'll probably say it again before I get done, that there's even judges that are in there for life that they can just do whatever they want. And so thousands of U.S. judges who broke laws or oaths remained on the bench. So these are documented examples where judges did something wrong and they continued being judges. Like a Judge Hayes, he's sentenced to a single mother to 496 days in jails for failing to pay traffic tickets. And in case you're curious, um, um, so she said um, she could have even been negligent homicide in Alabama, but that was thrown out of court. So all it was is she didn't pay her traffic tickets. So he put her in jail for almost 500 days. Now she's locked up for those 500 days. And Judge Hayes, took away my life and her children, she said, and she suffered. Now she says her girls will never be the same. They were small, and they were very small, and they missed mom for 2 years, almost 2 years, and they ended up taking her kids, put them in foster care, and then found her since because fellow inmates found her sentence hard to believe. They had nickname for her, and they said they called her the woman with all the days illegally, and they had committed real crimes. So now, when they were looking at this judge, they found out this judge broke his own protocol, policies, and court procedures and court laws by jailing her. And so this isn't just, I mean, there's many, many more. All she had to do was pay her fine. It wasn't the fact she had to go to jail. The fact that she argued with the judge, he got mad and threw her in jail for 2 years, almost 2 years. And the judge was supposed to be following his own laws, and he didn't. And then there's this plumber who had a hard time making rent, to a mother who was skipping meals to cover medical bills, and disabled. Um, Basically, Hayes, once again, violated 10 different parts of the state code of judicial conduct. One of the counts was breach of the judge's most essential duty. And he admitted he broke the rule. But you can argue that despite of his ruling and finding, he broke 10 rules in one case. And Hayes wasn't barred from serving as a judge. Instead, they reached a deal with him where he agreed to serve an 11-month paid unsuspension. He got to stay home. He wasn't put in jail because he was a judge. And he could return to the bench. And so he got 11 months, but because he was such a good judge and good behavior, he was back on the bench in less than 30 days.
Wow. Why do they want to punish somebody that plumber almost sounds like a good Samaritan, helping out.
Yeah, and so he did it to this plumber, he did it to this mom, and then he's done it to others, he said. They said there's at least 50 cases where he broke his own code of ethics laws. And
wow.
After 20 years, he decided he was going to retire. So these are old cases. And he admitted that he says he's sorry about what he did. But, it's time for him to retire, and he's been looking forward to a long vacation.
He needs one.
So
He needs a very long vacation.
in jail, yeah, can you
Yeah.
imagine? That's the ones they uncovered with him, Randy. How many did they not uncover that he did, that they just didn't want to go against him? And these are one of them laws, and this goes, I mean, we've got so many judges, folks. You got to realize there's your circuit court judge, your family
Yep.
court, your Supreme Court, your, uh, oh man, I can't even, there's like 8 of them, different judges, Supreme Court.
Yep.
Um, Supreme Court judges for each state that have 3 to 5. And then your Supreme Court with the big courts where we got the 9. And so now this Willie Knight pastor, he's of North Montgomery Baptist Church. And he had been fired years ago, and he broke the law, and he wanted to get away with it. And sudden retirement was too late. And so get this. So he did break a law. He had a few tickets he didn't pay. And this judge, just Judge Hayes again, decided he was going to put him in jail for 30 days. Why? Because he was a Jehovah Witness.
Oh, that hits home. Oh.
So after violating judicial ethic rules and breaking laws, they get to keep their jobs, according to Reuters. And this is judicial misconduct nationally. Identified 1,500 cases in the last 12 years in which judge resigned, retired, or they took disciplinarian, but none of them ever went to jail. They just were under house arrest, or it wasn't even house arrest, and they just couldn't serve on the bench for usually 30 days. And so it's okay if they have misconduct on their records.
But they get away with it. That's what kills me. They get away with all of this. That's like religious discrimination because somebody is a JW. Really? That is such a hot point in this country right now. Mm-hmm. And to think that these guys are getting away with it.
Yeah, they said there was they have found 1,500 judges just between 2018 and 2020. Okay, and 9 out of the 10 judges were allowed to return to the bench. They weren't even didn't even get a slap on the wrist. And they were sanctioned for misconduct, including a California judge who engaged in adult relationship in his courthouse chambers.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Did he take Bill Clinton's playbook? I did not have relations with that woman.
And once with his former law intern, and later with an attorney and a DA.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, what about this New York judge who berated victims of domestic violence? He berated the perpetrators. He berated the victims. And a Maryland judge who, after his arrest for drunk driving, was allowed to returned to the bench as long as he did a breathalyzer before each case. But he was a repeat offender of DUIs. And, you say, well, okay, well, maybe it wasn't very many. Well, what about 20 or 30 of them?
We wouldn't just be in jail. I would be under the jail.
Yeah. If either one of us, if we got in that much trouble, they wouldn't give us a breathalyzer just to go to work, and that's what they do with these judges.
Wow.
Now, these judges continue not only you might not think that these judges think about what it made me think of, Randy. Did you ever see
What?
Up in Smoke with Cheech and Chong?
Oh yeah. Yes,
Remember
I
when they were
have.
sitting in court? I think this is the one. And Chong is sitting there and he's thirsty. So they get him the water from the judge, and the judge's like, oh, no, 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 no. And he drinks it and he spits it out and he says, it's flipping vodka. Yeah. 8 out of 10 judges they have caught with a form of alcohol on their bench across the country.
And yet, how many people have had a couple of drinks and maybe not enough to even affect them,
Okay,
but
now
then
get this.
go out onto the sidewalk and then they get a public intox?
Okay. Well, okay. Now there was 3 judges and attending a conference last spring that got drunk that were involved in a brawl outside White Castle restaurant at 3 a.m., during which 2 judges were shot. They pulled guns on each other. Although the state Supreme Court found the 3 judges had discredited the entire Indiana judiciary, they returned to the bench after a suspension of how long? 1 week.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say just like 30 days.
Okay,
Just
what
a
about
week.
okay, so they get to keep their jobs and they had to pay a little bit of a fine. And so now what about this one? The judge burst in on jurors deliberating on a case, a woman charged with sex trafficking, and declared God told him the defendant was innocent and that they had to decide this way.
God
And
told
so
him?
the judge did this. He bursted in on them and said they had to find this guy innocent because God told him to do this.
Oh my gosh. Is that judge in a straitjacket somewhere? I mean, you can't even make this
Yeah,
blankety blank stuff
yeah,
up.
these are true. These are true. It's at Reuters. If you guys want to look, just do Reuters with bad judges, and you're going to see all this. There should be zero tolerance for judges like this.
Yeah.
And then, he said the rest of the jurors that God had told him the defendant was innocent. The jury foreman thought the judge should have lost his job for that. And many people would agree. And you see cases like this all the time where either they're like what we seen, or I just told you about, where the ethics for being a Jehovah Witness to the
Yeah.
judge bursting in and saying, God told me to burst in and tell you guys this is how you're going to do your vote. It's almost, Randy, you know what it reminds me of is the Dixie Mafia down here.
Yeah.
Where and we see across the country where we have DAs and judges and all that making their own decisions what they're going to do. And if 8 out of 10 judges are drinking, why? You know, a long-term Alabama judge currently served the state's Judicial Oversight Commission. So he's a judge on the commission who oversees judges. And he um, he violated nepotism rules. And not
So,
only that, but the court records show that over 200 cases, he broke ethic rules, policies, and laws. And he even chose his own son to serve as a court-appointed lawyer for defendants who um, uh, would soak the defendants for fees, and then they would split the difference. So now we even got a judge that, okay, telling the defendants, you got even though you're court appointed, you're still going to have to pay us $50, and you got to pay us $50 now, and then whatever court fees. So the guy would give him $50, and he'd split it with his dad, the judge. It's going to sit over the case.
I'd always heard that judges were paid, that this was all a big racket. But see, when you read stories like this, then it really does just bring it to the forefront. And I wondered who, when you said the word nepotism, I wondered who it was
Yeah, it
that
was his
he was
own.
going to appoint. His own kid.
Yeah, to soak the defendants, the victims, out of money so they could split it. And they say, now get this, municipal judges handling far bigger docket, more than 100 million new cases a year, go as low traffic up to divorce or murder. Um, and they're finding out, and even in these courts, 5 of every 10 judges are crooked or bad judges. And they get to
Believe it.
determine they get to determine whether they need to be jailed or deciding who gets custody of the children. Did you see the one? I don't know if anybody has seen this clip. It's a lady that goes into court and she is there, and it looks like they're going to drop all the charges. But the marshal takes her out of the room to search her, and she says, "Why do I need to be searched if I'm before the judge and we're settling the case?" Well, her little girl was there, so the judge is entertaining this little girl with teddy bears and not facing the marshal. Well, she comes in and tells the bailiff he wanted me to pull my shirt up and he was groping me. And I'm not going to, now get this, it wasn't just pulling her shirt up to see the waist. He wanted up to her shoulders. And she said, no, not without a female officer. You know, she went to jail and they took her little girl away.
Oh my gosh. This is the definition of the most crooked, horrible
Mm-hmm.
judicial system. I mean, I can't even fathom this. This is like making my head spin. Wow.
I knew
And
it.
then trying to
I knew you'd
traffic.
have something to say about it. You know, so not only do we have to worry nowadays with the DA being, and get this, a lot of these are in blue states. And I don't mean to pick on
Yeah.
the blue states, but a lot of this is going on in the blue states where these judges are making these bad decisions or bad judges. So we know there's bad judges. We know there's bad DAs. We know there's bad cops. And it really does need to be overhauled. Mary goes, I can tell you some stories. Oh, that's what Reuters is doing, is saying there's so many that they can just keep going through over and over and over again, like that one Judge Hayes that had 3 or 4 cases. And
Mary,
no,
do tell. Bring Mary in. Put her up as a little thumbnail. We want to hear her stories.
and even if they screw up and they even it's overturned and they go to a higher court, it's it's not, they could be put before another bad judge that's going to go against the DA or even the victims, because it's like the good old boy system I was telling you about,
Yeah.
where they're all going to cover for one another, just like the bad cops, just like
No.
the bad cops.
Yeah,
So
the good old boy society. Looking out for the
bad
other one.
CPS workers, she mentioned bad CPS workers.
Oh,
Yeah,
good point. Look at how crooked that is.
yeah, and um,
We could do a
so
whole show on that just alone. That.
oh, I know. And I
Well, a whole
mean,
series.
we might have to just bring it back because there's not just bad judges. You all see the bad cops, and
Yeah.
uh, I was discussing this with a friend of mine earlier, and I said, it's like the bad cops that left the South went north, because now they're all up in the north, and we've got a lot of really good, decent cops down here. But you know what? Every place you work has got one bad apple, no matter what, no matter
Yeah.
where you go. There's one bad apple, no matter where you work, or quite a few of them are the click,
Yeah.
and if they didn't that happen to you, Wendy, when you were in Virginia where you worked, and it was like a click happening with you?
Yeah. That was here, actually. And they were all friends, all of the police force. They were all friends.
No, I
And
meant when you worked at I want to say the steakhouse,
oh yeah, yeah,
and there was like that clique that one, all of a sudden they turned on you.
yeah, yeah. I got harassed. I was sexually harassed at at that steakhouse. I won't say the name of it, but
Yeah, don't say the
it
name
was
of it.
bad. And
Yeah,
I think I
I
even
seen
called
it.
you, and I'm like, I'm stunned because they all stuck together, all that back of the house, all of that kitchen area, stuck to their story, and it didn't matter anything that I said. I had no voice, but they did because it was the good old
Yeah,
boys club.
yeah, that happened to my granddaughter too. She
Yeah.
was working. She got sick with the pandemic, and they all ganged up on her and said, "No, well, since you're going to be sick, then we can't. We need to hire somebody else." And because they're all of them stuck together, they let her go because there was
Wow.
so many that saying she was too sick all the time. Well, yeah, because she had the pandemic, and then saying she would be um, a security risk to the rest of the workers in the store. And I can't say the name of the store either. So,
Yeah.
wow. Um,
That's
one in
not
every 100
right.
people is a psychopath, William says.
I
I
believe
believe
you,
it.
William.
I think there's more than that. I think there's two or three, or who knows, with
What's
this,
that
with the
joke
system.
that you put up? You put up that joke on Facebook from Hellions, Holes, and Poles. Something about not enough people are being taken away in straight jackets.
Yeah, none of people are being taken away in straitjackets. Yeah, folks, you go and watch the. I posted it. It's here on uh, Investigator News. It's the new funny post for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how
Everybody
I
should.
feel. You guys would not realize how true when I pick these things that it matches. Some of it don't. Some of it's just funny and makes me crack up. I like the ones with the brooms. You know, um, yeah, I love the broom
That's
one.
half of that last one that you put up was just a smoking broom laying on
Yeah,
the highway. And I'm like,
yeah.
I can relate.
So,
I threw a rod.
so I want to get on this last one really quick,
Oh,
and this
okay.
is um, um, a 23-year-old that had 65 tickets. Um, and the last one before she really got in trouble, she was going, um, let's see, I got it. She has a Honda Accord, and she was going probably over 100 miles an hour flying past a cop. Now, who does that?
An
And
idiot.
then she went through a red light, and so she might have gotten quite a few tickets. But when she gets before the judge, they found out that she has had suspended license since she was 19, and she just kept driving. And then
Yeah.
so she's um, so she's out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they said she's sober. That's a good thing. And but she had lost her license, so she was charged with aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle, and so she's facing jail time now. But they said when they asked her, um, her defense attorney asked her in court before the judge and said, you might get 3 to 5 years for this. And he said, when you get out, you may never have a driver's license again. She goes, well, it's okay. I'll just drive anyway.
Mm, I'm
Uh,
telling you, they will have their eyes
yeah.
will be all over
So
her.
she didn't learn. She didn't learn anything. And she said, well, she had her folks to help her with the tickets to the judge. And so it was thousands of dollars in fines and
Yeah.
all those tickets. And she lost her car. I don't know what happened with the car. They probably took it and impounded it. Didn't say in the story. because I looked it up. I looked it up online. And it was true.
Yeah.
And NBC ran the story on it, and they said they couldn't believe that, all in all, she had a chance to tell the judge, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna be good." No, she just said she was just gonna go drive again. Huh.
That's a
So,
doozy right
Randy,
there.
that is it. We're 10 minutes away from William's show.
Yeah,
So this went so quick today,
it
didn't
did.
it?
And I'm so sorry that I had to get up and move, folks. I did one thing that I shouldn't have done, and that's assume that my battery life was going to last on this new phone of mine. So sorry, I had to get up and move and plug my phone in. so so I didn't drop off in the middle of the show. So
Okay,
but
Randy, well, we'll be back next week with more Justice Files.
yeah.
Justice for all. And we hope you guys are really enjoying this. This is a great Monday show. And, me and Randy are willing to push forward with this. This is a fun show. But it's going to show that people, well, some people get justice. The judges, quite a few of them did go to jail, I have to admit. But most of them a slap on the wrist. And this one girl spent jail time. We found out the dog definitely did jail time. And if
Yeah.
you got that little light on in your car,
Yeah. You
go look around. Don't just take it to the dealer. Don't let the dealer convince you that no one else can do it but them. Isn't that
yeah,
right?
you have the right now. It's called the right to repair law. And you can diagnose it yourself now. And it's not going to make the vehicle stop. It's scary. Some of these new vehicles especially can be turned off remotely. They can
Mm-hmm.
mess with you remotely. So
Yeah,
you can actually work on your own vehicle now without fear of them going, nah, somebody messed with the program on this. I'll reprogram it.
mm-hmm.
Anyway, so there's a justice for all the shade tree mechanics and all of us who don't want to spend $10,000 just to get a spark plug changed.
That's right.
There you
Okay.
go.
Well, me and Randy will see you next week for Justice for All, but we got William's show coming up. And then, of
Yeah.
course, I'll be back tomorrow with regular weather and lifestyle news and the news show. So, with that, thanks, Wendy. You're a great host. And we'll see you next week with me and Randy. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Well, what do you think?